In this video, we're going to be covering what are the best credit cards to use when starting your reselling business. Now, if you're someone who's already started your reselling business, this video is also going to be valuable to you because it's going to show you the different credit cards that I've personally used and that I recommend to get the most benefits possible. Now, I'm not quite sure how much money I've spent personally on my credit cards, but when I first got this Amex Platinum card, I spent close to $140,000 my first 9 months of having this, and this wasn't even my main card. So total, I've probably spent near $1 million just through my credit cards or bank transfers, so I know a thing or two about where you should save money using these cards. Now, I am not a travel hacker. I don't know the best ways to use your points and everything, but in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how you can get the most points, the best cards to use when you're buying from where, and again, the ones I recommend when you're a beginner or trying to scale. So obviously starting off, the main things that we want to cover in this video are cashback features, right? Do we want cashback? Do we want points? And where we can get them from, because you don't only just get them from credit cards as well. And during this video, I'm going to be covering 3 main credit cards that I recommend and the ones that I personally used when I started out, when I was getting a little bit better at reselling and when I wanted to scale. So let's dive right into it. So if you're a brand new reseller, credit is very important for a few reasons. When I started out, for example, in my story, I had $1,000 cash that I saved up. I was 16, just turned 17. I had $1,000 bucks. That's all I had. So buying $1,000 worth of shoes, seems like a lot of money, but it's really not when you realize like that's 5 pairs of Jordans. So the problem I ran into quickly was I had a capital issue. I couldn't buy all the shoes that I really wanted to, even if I knew what I was doing, right? I could spend $1,000 in an hour and then I'd be out of capital. And then I would have to wait for those shoes to sell. Then I would have to wait to get paid back for those shoes before I could even go and buy more shoes. So think of it this way. If I bought a shoe online, it might take a week to get to my house, it might take a week to sell, then another week to pay out or everything. That's a 3-week process where I can't buy any shoes because I have a capital issue. I see this happen all the time with new resellers, all right? So this is where credit kind of comes into play. Now, keep in mind, this is a big disclaimer. I don't condone credit. I don't like debt at all. So I personally only use credit when I know that I can pay it off quickly and I have funds coming in, all right? When I was starting out, now I did kind of extend that a little bit because I didn't have as much capital. But what I don't want you to do is, if you're a new reseller, is get a credit card with a $10,000 limit, buy $10,000 worth of shoes that you don't know what you're doing and lose all that money. That is very dumb. Don't do that. Credit's debt. You're going to pay a lot of interest on it. So just keep that in mind. What credit does do, in my opinion, and this is kind of the way people use it in business, is extend that time horizon, right? Instead of just spending that $1,000 and being stuck for those 3 weeks, you now introduce a credit card, right? That gives you, a payment that you can actually wait and delay things on. So you can put money onto that, maybe let's say another $1,000, and then you take your profits from your first sales and pay off that card so you can keep money going and going and going, without having to wait. It's especially important when you're starting out, when you're below probably $10,000 in capital, let's say, because you can run out of capital very quickly. Once you get over that point, right? Like for me, when I had $30,000 in my bank account from reselling, I really didn't need credit anymore. I mean, I never was going to spend that much money in a day. There are people that do that, don't get me wrong, but for me personally at that point, I didn't really need credit. I still used it though before the points, all right? So till this day, I still use credit because of all the points and the great offerings that you can get from it. So let's dive into it. What was the first credit card that I ever got? It was a Discover It, or one of Discover's basically, it's their entry-level credit cards. The reason I say that is I had no credit history. These cards are also like student cards. They're very easy to apply for, very easy to get. And it's good to be able to build your credit history with them as well. So the big thing, again, make sure you're paying these cards off on time, on that payment date. I don't want you guys ever to go past it. That's the one thing I've always done. And I have almost 800 credit score now, and I'm 20. And it's because I've spent so much money on these cards and I pay it off all the time. These companies love to lend me money. But that first card only had a $3,000 limit. So let me give you an example here. I had $1,000. Add in 3,000, that's 4,000 now. I had way more capital that I could work with, so it just made my life a lot easier because I could buy more shoes that previously I wasn't able to do. So the reason that credit card was really good when I started out is it gave me $3,000, which is a lot more than I had. It had 0 annual fees, which is good, and it had a really good first year bonus, which they would match your cash back at the end of the year. So I had like about $1,100 in cash back that I had on that card that I racked up. And after that, they doubled it. So I got $2,200 in cash back. And then they would actually give you 80% bonus or 20% bonus. You'd basically pay, for a $100 Nike gift card, you'd only pay $80. So I got a 20% bonus just by buying Nike gift cards. So at one point, I had like $2,500 worth of Nike gift cards, and I just went and resold with them, right? So it kind of was free money. All right, so it was a really good card to start off with because they doubled your money on the first year. Really cheap to get into. You don't get all the benefits. Like, it's definitely not the best card, but it was very good when you're starting out. Second card, which is arguably one of my favorites, is the Apple Card. The reason I love the Apple Card is for a few reasons. Number one, it's very easy to apply for. It took me like 2 minutes to get it. They gave me only $1,000, however, but over time, when you spend money with it, and I've had it for like 3 years now, they will bump your credit limit up and up over and over again. Okay, so with that being said, again, I kept buying on that card, kept using it. Now I believe I have a $23,000 limit, and I could ask for more if I wanted. I don't need more on it, but still, they give you a limit over time, which is really good. The other key thing is they have a 3% cashback at Nike. Sometimes it even goes up to 6%. So 3% every time you're buying at Nike is huge. Considering me, again, I keep in mind, like I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on shoes. If I spend 100 grand on shoes at Nike, and this is how we make money, I use a 15% off discount, let's say. Now I'm paying only $85,000 for $100,000 worth of shoes. And that 3%, might save me around another $3,000 in cashback that I get. Well, that saves me a ton of money. Every 100,000 I spend, I'm saving 3,000 bucks just from using that card. That's really good. And even if you're a short-term reseller, I've made a few $100 a month extra just from using that cashback. I mean, you spend 10,000 bucks, you make $300. Like, no one's gonna complain about that, and it's very, very easy to do. When you're a reseller, everything matters. I mean, you have to worry about every single dollar because at the end of the day, we're focused on volume. It really, really adds up. So when I'm using, my credit cards to save me money, that's the biggest thing that I'm focusing on. So the Apple Card's really great for that cashback. It's super easy to get into, and a lot of people can get it. And you get to see if you get, you get approved for it or not, and they'll tell you, how much you actually get before you even accept it. So it's a super good card. And on top of that, Apple actually has a bank account you can roll your cashback into that gives 4.5 or 4.6% APY every year, so annual interest. So I earn about, like, with the money I have in my bank account right now and there, I earn about like 30 to 40 bucks a month just in interest. And I don't do anything. Like, I just get a payment every month from Apple. So it's pretty cool, and that's just from cashback. Now, final level is the one I showed earlier in this video, which is the Amex Platinum. I'm not gonna show my details on here, but this is one of the best cards for a lot of people that they say. This card is, I think, around 700 bucks, but it's one of my favorite ones because of all the benefits you get. Now, this card only makes sense if you're actually gonna use the benefits. If you're gonna apply for the points, you're gonna actually spend all the money that you get, and I'm gonna explain why. So again, this card is, I believe, around $700, but you get $400 a year in Dell credit. So if you're someone like me who just, runs a business, I need to buy computer parts or, a new monitor or whatever, I just use this and I get $400 a year. That covers 400 bucks of the 700 that I use, right? You get about 100, I think $120 in Uber credit, you get 120 in phone credit, and you get $200 in airline credit. You get to go into all the lounges and stuff, right? So this card pays for itself if you actually use the stuff. Now, if you're never gonna use it, don't pay $700 for it. I'd recommend getting the gold card. I believe it's around 250 bucks a month, or per year actually. And that also has a ton of good benefits as well, and you'll get a bunch of points with Amex. And that is a really good one to start with too. And you get a lot of sign-up bonuses. So I think for this one, I had 140,000 points if I hit a certain spend mark in, I think, 3 to 4 months with it. And I did that, obviously. And 140,000 points, I believe, is enough to fly a round trip Europe and back completely free, which is pretty sweet. Actually, let me take that back. I think it's twice. You can fly to Europe and back twice round trip, maybe even business class. So you basically get a lot of money worth just for getting those points. One other card that I use is my Chase Sapphire Preferred. That's a really good card as well. And I think that a really good sign-up bonus, this is the reason I got it, is if you spent $3,000 to $4,000, you get 60,000 Chase points, which 60,000 Chase points was enough for a round trip to Hawaii and back. And again, like, I'm already gonna spend that money, so I might as well put it on that credit card and get those points, right? And again, you're building your credit at the same time. So those are all really, really great cards to start with. Another thing you have to couple this with is using cashback services. So I'm talking Rakuten, I'm talking Top Cashback, all of these cashback services, because when you're using these online, specifically, like Nike will have 10% cashback right now. I use this, I maybe get 3% bonus plus the 10%, like, it really adds up over time. And you can get both, like, they stack. So you save a ton of money just by doing that. And again, that might not seem like a lot, but when you're a big reseller and you start reselling a ton and you're just shooting even for your first $1,000 or $10,000 profit months, I mean, 10%, 3% here, like 5% there, like, that stuff definitely adds up. And I know a ton of resellers that make an extra few $1,000s every single quarter just from cashback services. So yeah, those are really the big 3 that I'd recommend. Over time, you can start getting more new ones, right? Again, I got all 3 of them over like a 2-3 year period. So it wasn't anything quick, like, it took a while. It took a while before I started like applying for all these cards, but only get the ones that make sense to you. Again, if you're starting out, start with the free stuff. There's pretty much 0 risk with it. And just make sure you're paying off your cards on time. What I don't want is someone in here who doesn't know how to resell taking this advice and saying, Caden, I went and bought a bunch of shoes because I didn't know what I was doing. I put it on all the credit. Like, don't do that. I'm telling you not to do that. Especially if you're really scared about it, just start out slow and buy with your own cash so you don't even have to worry about it. It's only your money. And keep in mind, if you're buying from reputable stores like Nike, Foot Locker, Champs, Foot Action, they all have, good return policies. Nike's return to 60-day free returns. So even if you put it on a credit card, you can go return it. You're not going to really have any issues with it at all. and that's the way to protect yourself. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you found value in it, like and comment down below, and also subscribe. Check out the description down below. I have access to all of my referral links on there. So if you want to sign up for any of these, high yield savings account where you can save some extra money, any of these credit cards, I have all the links there. You actually get some bonuses, which is pretty sweet. So hey, check it out if you want. But other than that, guys, have a blessed rest of your day. I'll see you guys later.